Good evening, Surgeaholics. Welcome back to the Sooner Surge for another Sooner Surge Live. Appreciate you joining us. As always, every night, 9:30, you're here. It's like clockwork. You guys are on here. We appreciate it. And before we even get into anything tonight, I see a lot of things in the chat, and we are going to address some of the stuff that's in the chat. But what's up, Sooner Freak? What's up, Mon? I see all you on here. I just want to say a thank you to everybody on this live and that is on here consistently, because we did it, guys. We've made it. Football season is here, 3 days away. You guys can pat yourself on your back, and because you carried big time over the last however many days it has been that we've been doing lives, talking about what size shoe an offensive lineman wears, how about his hair. I mean, we've talked about anything and everything over the last,
9 months.
9 months, whatever it's been. So
that's how long we've been doing the lives. But I guess the last month and a half, 2 months, there was some live football to talk about in between all of that. So really the last
we're here now.
7 to 8 months have been just finding something to talk about on a nightly basis in terms of OU football. But yeah, 3 days away, Friday night game.
Weather's looking better.
A little bit better, yeah. Still a chance. I mean, me personally, I'm going to go to Walmart tomorrow and get me a poncho just in case it were to rain. But, hey, I would take 86 and raining over what it's been the last 2 years, which was like well over 100. And, I mean, it was bad. I mean, UTEP, the people were dropping like flies. Last year it was pretty bad as well. So, a lot better than temperatures in the triple digits.
Yeah, hey, let's get to it. Let's get to the DeMarco Murray stuff. We got to address it. It came out today. DeMarco Murray suspended from the first game against Temple for recruiting violation. It comes with no 2026 or 2027 recruits will be in Norman this weekend. Also, a 3-week ban on recruiting phone and electronic correspondence for the football program. Now, listen to these dates, everybody. From December 8th, 2024 to March 31st, 2025, which is a very important part of recruiting. I mean, you're looking at signing day, guys, in that time period in December, January, February.
Yeah.
It's a shame that they have that. I mean, here's my take on it, okay? And I don't want to spend all night on this. I really don't, but I want to say a few things. It happened. A recruiting violation. It happened. My kind of attitude about the whole thing is it's just kind of crazy that the NCAA is picking, and because you saw Kirk Ferentz had it too. They're picking this to go after when there is so many other things the NCAA could be going after with NIL, everything. But they're going to pick all these schools. It's not just OU. They've gotten Iowa.
Correct. Yep.
So, but out of all the things, you're going to pick impermissible contact. It's kind of crazy, but it is what it is. It's one game. It's against Temple. It's not going to matter, okay, in the long run. But it does matter as far as I think that 3-week ban could matter. I think that's a big kind of blow personally.
Yeah, Sooner Freak. Yes, this is from the 92 Olympics Dream Team hat. But again, I mean, today, if you guys watch Netflix, Connor Stallions documentary dropping, I mean, that whole thing is still kind of TBD in the results of all that. I mean, I already had my opinions on Connor Stallions before watching that documentary, and then watching it, it's even crazier than I thought. I mean, getting a game ball for helping win the game, sign stealing wise. Just an interesting guy. I mean, go to the Naval Academy, and that's where he gets his start.
Look at Jimmy. I love the comment. Love the comment by Jimmy. We are now SEC ready. Jake says, I'll take a 1-game suspension for a top recruit. Hey, there's going to be a lot of, apparently, from my perspective, I think the NCAA has decided they are going to patrol this thing really hard as far as that aspect. Maybe the
Maybe.
physical contact.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, they're not patrolling at all. It's a joke. So that's what I think is funny and kind of dumb. What's up, Scott? Thanks for joining. Scott says, I still say Stallions gave the heads up to South Carolina when they played UT England. Hey, the fact of the matter is Stallions and Harbaugh knew. I'm sorry. And Stallions' bedroom. Did you see all that? It's like a little fanboy. I mean, Michigan.
I mean, the fact that he was at the game as well and getting identified by a linebacker after the game. I mean, it just the story keeps getting crazier and crazier. I mean, honestly, that whole thing. I mean, to be pretty much let go from your job, all of the investigation going on. I mean, to even attend the game as a fan is pretty wild.
Yes, it was self-imposed. I see fan stop. Yes.
It was self-reported. NCAA is imposing some of the penalties. Some of the other penalties were self-imposed by OU, correct, but it was a self-reported violation.
Yes, that's correct. But I mean, I've seen other people self-report things and it hasn't been imposed. So that was kind of my, or they're still thinking, some things the NCAA takes months and months to do, and sometimes they go quicker. I don't get it all. I don't even claim to know, guys. Yeah, I saw that too, Scott. There's a lot with that Stallions guy, and the fact that he's the defensive coordinator in high school is ridiculous. Okay. Self-reported, Mark. Yeah, that's right. I see Derek Hamilton. Let me see. Halton going to have a breakout year. I would agree with that, Derek. I think he's going to have an outstanding year. And let's just get down to it, as the game is now 3 days a week. 3 days away from now. Maybe I don't know if you have a hot take for the game that something may happen, whether it be somebody's going to catch 4 touchdowns, whatever. Drop it in the chat. Also, I would like to know how many running backs go for over 100 yards this week, and you can include a quarterback. You can include a quarterback if you think they're going to run for over 100 yards. I think they have 2 over 100 yards.
That's where I'm probably going to go. Let me pull up some stuff. But I would probably say 2.
Derek, hot take right there. Derek with the hot take. Thanks for joining tonight, Derek. Appreciate you. 3 defensive touchdowns. JFest says time PJ earns that 5-star status. CE says 3 100-yard rushers. Bobby says 2. I'm in agreement, 2. I'd go Sawchuck Barnes if I were to pick. I don't think the weather's going to be that bad, guys. I don't. I don't think it'll be that bad. 2 special teams touchdowns could happen. 7 sacks. Mark, thanks for joining again, Mark. Hey, thanks, Derek. Thanks for people like you for joining. You guys keep it going. Appreciate it. Let's see here. OU forces a safety in the game.
I think of all the hot takes I've seen, I think that might be the one I would have to go with.
Steve Stutzman, who scores the first touchdown? I'm going with Gavin Sawchuck. I think he breaks off about a 60-yard TD. That's what I think. I'm going there. I think they're going to pound him early with the run, and I think he's going to break off a long one right off the bat. I'll
answer this one. Brendan Thompson. Deep ball, Jackson Arnold, Brendan Thompson.
Deep ball?
First touchdown. Yes.
And CE's in agreement. Hey, Steve, who do you got? And by the way, Steve Stutzman, it was great hearing your name on the commercial that Danny did, calling Danny Steven Stutzman. I thought that was great. I did not know your name was going to be mentioned in there, Steven. They called it Steven he says Burks. Steve says Burks. So
that's another good option. I mean, again, deep threat is, I think there's going to be a handful of passes completed for over 50, 60 yards week 1.
Bobby says Jackson Arnold on the quarterback run. We got a pick 6. Who would it be, Steven? Who's the pick 6 from? Sooner fan, call it right now. Does Nick Anderson play versus Temple? I'm going to say he does not. What do you think, Hunter?
I don't know. I don't really want to speculate on it one way or
I'm not
another.
speculating.
I
I'm just
mean,
saying what
yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. I'm just, I really, I don't know one way or the other.
And hey, Steve, I wondered this when I saw the clip. I wondered if that was his real name, and that's why they were calling him that. There we go. Now you just said it for sure. So Steven Stutzman, there we go. Learn something new every night. RSJ with the pick six. Okay. Bobby says the safety does. It's one series, but there's no need for him to play. I agree, Bobby. There's no need, but I think if he was healthy, he'd play no matter what. I just think if there's any banged up Nick, that he probably won't play. What are you laughing at, Hunter?
I see you laughing. Ron Brown got the comment up there. So there you go. Ron.
Bomb says AI showed up tonight. What were you laughing about with Ron?
He knows where was it? Lost it. A lot of comments rolling in right now. Trying to keep up. One thing for sure, DM will not play. There, I said it. Classic Ron Brown comment. Yeah, DeMarco Murray is right. Not playing. So
DM DeMarco Murray will not. Strip sack fumble return by RMT. Wow, that'd be great. Yeah, he never misses. I agree, Greg God. Ron, love to have you in that Discord if you want to join up because it'd be legit in there, fire with you. It'd be great. How many sacks, Hunter?
I was just about to ask that. I mean,
I'm going to go with 5. I'm going to go with 5.
That's what I was going to go with, and I think anything less than that, I mean, it would become more of a storyline again like it was last year. Again, 1 week into the season, but Temple they were 3-9 a year ago. Like, they are not a good football team. You got to get to the quarterback. You can't have, like it was last year, Arkansas State. I mean, I can't remember that. I was trying to find it in the ESPN box score. I'll need to pull it up on Sooner Sports, but I want to say Oklahoma didn't have.
No, but if you remember right, that quarterback, it was
they
quick.
were. I understand that, but then it became the talking point. I know Jeremy was very amped to be like, that's not an excuse. You got to get sacks. And that was an issue last year for Oklahoma. And this year they got to get the quarterback on the ground.
Yeah. Hey, J-Fez, I think this is a hard question to answer because I think even in the second series, they're going to be rolling different. I think they play so many guys on that back end, I think, and they rotate guys a bunch. It's almost even hard to say. I don't know if I could answer that really. I think it's a tough question. What's with Murray getting suspended, Bomb? Recruiting violation. That's plain and simple. That's what it was. Self-reported by Oklahoma, then imposed by the NCAA. 3-week ban on recruiting phone and electronic correspondence for the football program from December 8th to March 31st. They will not be able to make those contacts, and then won't have unofficial visits during the first game of the season, which didn't sound like they were going to really have whole lot.
It's hard to have officials on a Friday and officials in general at this point in the class. I mean, I don't think a lot of people are going to take their official for Temple. I mean, officials have to be 2024 guys. So.
Over, under, Bowen with 100 yards and punt returns. Listen, I would say over, but I think that is so dependent on the punter punting it to him. And that makes it hard to predict that. But I do think, legitimately, I think in some of these games, when you are so much more talented than the other team, and you got really good talent on special teams, I would think the return game would be outstanding in games like this. Just
last year,
Gavin
Freeman had 90 yards on 3 returns, 82-yard house call. So.
Dude, you know that the stats just pop out of your brain, dude.
I was looking at it. I'm looking at it on my screen right now. Sorry.
You shouldn't have admitted that.
I mean, I'm trying to be a little transparent here.
Hunter, your middle name's gonna be AI. Hey, Mess. This was outstanding. Redmond making the roster. Also, Andrew Rame made the Panthers roster, which was great for him. Glad to see it.
awesome for
Sad to
Rams.
see Stoops didn't make it, but I'm not shocked. I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah, the whole Rams thing today, I was following it because it was supposed to be 3:00 Central Time. Is supposed to be when they're releasing it to the public. For whatever reason, the Rams waited till about 3:25. So I mean, I was shocked he made it to the first round of waves. I kind of expected him to be cut in that first. I think they cut 12 the other day, and I mean, he made it pretty close. I would imagine that they bring him back to practice squad, and if there's an injury in that wide receiver room, he would be the guy getting the call to the 53.
Yeah. I want to see throws to the tight end as well, Jimmy. I didn't see it in the spring game and like to see it. Sooner fan Walter Rouse made the Vikings roster.
Walter Rouse was second on PFF for rookie offensive tackles behind Tyler Guyton in the NFL preseason.
That's right. Chad, that's an NFL rule change. Nothing's changed in the college game. Unless I'm missing something, Hunter, nothing's changed.
Yeah, nothing significant has changed. I would imagine at some point it would change in the near future. If I think it's going to be successful in the NFL, I think it's a little bit more entertaining at times with how they're doing it. And
no Devon Mitchell this season, Steven asked. I don't know if you'll see him later on. You might, but right now,
I think Devon Mitchell does not redshirt.
You don't think he redshirts?
I think he's going to play enough on special teams that the 4 games are. And now in the tight end room, probably not, but I think he could potentially see some time in the special teams aspect to where he's playing over 4 regular season games. I can't remember where I saw it. I saw something today about kind of confirmation that red shirts do not count for postseason. So, throw a scenario at you. You could play 4 games, a true freshman, Zion Raggins, there we go, that's the name. He could play 4 regular season games, keep a red shirt, and then say Oklahoma makes the SEC championship and goes on a playoff run. He can play in all those postseason games and still be able to redshirt.
Correct. That's right.
Good confirmation. Can't remember where I saw that, but saw that.
Yeah, I'm going to hit a few. This is a good question. This goes into what I was going to ask about him trying to do too much. Ron put on there. Ron asked, is he going to try to do too much? Eric says, does he throw a pick Friday night? I say he does not throw a pick Friday night. I think the receivers are going to have such good separation. I don't think he will. And as far as is he going to do too much? Not right now. I don't think he will in these early games. But here's the thing. I think he even knows they got too many skill position weapons where he really doesn't need to try to do too much. Now, it might be in his blood to try to do too much. I don't know. I haven't seen him play enough to know. I saw him play in high school a lot, and he was pretty dang good. So I'm excited.
Last year, he was 11-11 against Arkansas State. So.
Yeah, and they had him doing simple passes. I mean, nothing.
They crazy. Did,
but you do remember the TU game, he threw a pretty good ball down the sideline. I mean, so
he had a few nice passes in that game.
I think he'll have a good game. I don't even know some of these comments. Steven says he does not throw a pick. Depends on the pick, could bounce off. Yeah, that's true. But I don't think – when I say pick, I mean a bad ball. Bobby says, I'm almost certain Helms is a freshman.
I'm trying to pull it up right now.
Hunter,
I'll see what I can find.
Come on, AI. Crystal, thanks so much for the super. We really appreciate it. You're always great at that. And seriously, though, Crystal, it's very much appreciated. Thank you. It says, you guys are sleeping on Gentry Williams. I'm going to remind you later this year. Hey, I'm not sleeping on him. I'm pretty high on Gentry Williams. I think he's the highest rated cornerback as far as draft available on this team right now. I think he would go the highest.
I would agree with that.
It's all in if he stays healthy, Crystal. Now, I think that's what it comes down to. I know me and Jeremy have gotten a few arguments. I mean, I've taken the Gentry side of when he played last year, he was by far and away the best cornerback, I thought, on playmaking ability. He made play after play, whether it be a tackle for a loss, an interception, a fumble recovery. He was always around the ball, extremely good tackler, physical, physical tackler that led to probably the shoulder injury, I think, kind of later in the year. So I expect big things from Crystal. But, yeah, keep the receipt. Bring it on later this year. I don't mind. Bring the receipt back.
Yeah, real quick to get back to Bobby's question on Caden Helms. Sooner Sports has him listed as a redshirt sophomore. I think if they were to say apply for a medical redshirt, he would get it. I just don't know how that whole process goes. Yes, he did miss all of last season due to injury and redshirted the year before. Is 2 years out of high school now. So I think if he applied for it, he would get it and would technically be a freshman in terms of eligibility.
Yeah, easy street. Thanks for joining again. I like Williams, but the first time he hit someone, that's what you got to wait and see. Now, listen to him talk about what Schmitty helped him over the summer about, sometimes you got to fight through it. Maybe if it's a nagging thing, he'll fight through it. I don't know the scenario, but I do think he's going to have a big year. I think if he's healthy, I really do. He does bring the wood, Mark. I agree. Yeah, 42-point dog. They're bad. Okay.
I mean, they were defensively, I think, in the 120s out of about 130 teams last year. They were 3-9 in the American last year. Very bad team.
And Greg God says he's a super senior on TikTok. That's funny, Greg God. That's pretty funny. I got to admit. Hey, this is a game when you have the weapons. I mean, I'm sorry, with what it looks like it's going to be the starting receiver core of Burks, Brennan Thompson, and Farouk. I mean, either you're putting two safety back and they're going to torch you on the run game. That's what I think is going to happen. I think OU is going to have a massive day on the ground. Now, I think they'll have good success in the air as well. But I think they need to go out there and blow Temple off the ball and pound the run game and get it established early. What's up, Jeremy? Joining us tonight, bro.
What's going on, guys? What's been the topic of conversation tonight?
Of course, little DeMarco Murray talked about a little bit. Now we're just kind of talking about what we're going to see from the game, maybe hot take, maybe who scores the first touchdown. Come on in, Jeremy, as Monty said. Walmart parking lot tonight?
I'm not at the Walmart parking lot. No. Hey, what were the overall? I guess I can give my perspective on the DeMarco Murray thing, but I'm just curious what kind of everyone's take is on that, because
the take is they have a recruiting violation and he's serving a suspension. I mean, what other take are you going to take?
I mean, I'm not saying what kind of take people are taking, Jay. What I'm saying is I've seen lots of things on Twitter today. And I don't want to sit here and, I guess, harp on certain things, things like, well, everyone's doing it. Yeah, I agree. Everyone's doing it. I think the biggest thing for me, Jay, is how does this impact future of OU?
It doesn't. To me, it only impacts that 3-month ban on recruiting where you can't make phone and electronic correspondence from December to March. Other than I don't think.
How much do you think? Is there a lot of disappointment, you think, with DeMarco? Like, I'm just curious on a lot of that.
Jeremy, I'm not behind the doors. I would not know that answer. I have no clue. I mean, it was self-reported, so I don't even know, Jeremy. I mean, I don't even want to speculate what that is. I don't really know what it would be. So
yeah, I know. Hey, you said after you talked about DeMarco, you just talked about kind of hot takes. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you give any, guys?
We didn't give a hot take yet. There's been some hot takes in there. We've been talking about certain players, how many yards they're going to get, who's going to score the first touchdown.
I'm going to say one that I saw. I'm going to say one right now that I saw. And okay. I don't consider it a hot take, honestly. You ready for it?
We're waiting. We're waiting on you, Jeremy.
Peyton Bowen running a punt back in non-conference is not a hot take, is it?
I would think he's going to get one before his conference play. Yeah. There you are, kind of.
I think Peyton Bowen running 3 back in non-conference is a hot take. Running 1 back against Gavin Freeman ran a punt back in non-con last 2 years.
So, yeah, Jeremy's going to be taking the over. Steve Stutzman put it in here earlier of over or under 100 yards for Peyton Bowen at punt returns.
But I've seen that's not a hot take that he's going to run a punt back. Like, I think he's going to run maybe 1 a game back in non-con.
1 a game.
1 a game. Wow.
That's a pretty hot take.
Jay, depending on if they kick him the ball. Guys, Gavin Freeman ran a punt back both years in non-con, did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't a punt.
No, one was
a
pass,
a jet sweep. A jet sweep or something like that. But,
I think, Craig, this
you get my point.
Hey, Craig, I think this is a good thing to say, and this is a perfect way to probably end that DeMarco talk. Is you'll be fine again as long as you report and correct the actions, no setbacks, don't be Michigan. Boom.
And as Eric says, not EA 25, but if it was, Jeremy would run a few back.
Hey, Crystal,
talented at special teams on that game.
Hey, I agree, but Crystal, I understand what you're saying here, and I agree with it, except the last part. It can't be a wait and see with the offensive line against Temple. They ought to control the line of scrimmage against Temple. I would be very worried if they don't have if they're out there and you run the ball on first down and you get a loss of 3 yards, you're at 2nd and 13. I'd be concerned. I mean, I think they should control the line of scrimmage.
I already said, I think, and I don't know if that video, I don't even know when it went out or if it has yet, Jay, the video we recorded about. To me, I think there's one stat that I'm looking for the most of all, Jay. You ready for it?
We're ready.
It's the number of penalties. Look.
Yeah, that's an important stat.
To me, the most important stat Friday night is how many penalties OU has, because under BV, they have been highly penalized the last 2 years. That's a fact. It needs to be better. And you're playing against an opponent with referees on the field. You cannot have penalties because those always add up later on in the year. This team needs to be a very few penalized team.
Last year in the opener, 6 penalties for 65 yards. So.
Yeah. And Eric, I think if Jackson Ono throws picks, because here's my deal, and I think I said this as well. The first read's probably going to be wide open every time. I mean, there should be guys running open. So if he's got interceptions, he's making very.
Well, I think that would come down to what Crystal's saying with the line. If the line is not blocking well against Temple and he gets pressure on him, that could lead to a pick. But they shouldn't have that issue against Temple. I mean, you're going to have a breakdown or two. I don't care who you're playing. If you're playing Popcorn University, you're going to have a breakdown. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're not going to allow a sack or whatever. You could have a breakdown, and that's going to happen. It's game 1. But I'm saying the majority, you're going to have a play where you probably lose yards on the first down and you're 2nd and 12. I get it. But I'm saying the majority of it, you ought to be able to control the line of scrimmage. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I got a hot take for the first 3 weeks.
What's that?
We'll just start with Temple, though. I think this would be considered a hot take. Something along the lines of J.J. Hester, catching 80-yard touchdown would be a hot take. A lot more so than a Peyton Bowen return.
Yeah, Monty, I would love to see a 0 on the scoreboard, too. It's so hard to shut teams out these days, but I think, to me, if you go back and look at the history of defense and the college football teams that have had the best defenses every year, you know what separates them on the stat? That because I think a lot of stats are skewed, and one of the stat is scoring defense. If you do not have depth, your scoring defense is skewed in these games like this because you pull your guys, you put other guys in, and you allow points. You go look at the great defenses, Georgia, Alabama, teams like that, when they're really good, when they put in their second and third teamers, it's like they're starters. I think that's what OU has built and they're starting to build to on defense. And that's how you get shutouts. That's how you get low-scoring games because you don't have to – you're at 40 points. It doesn't matter. These guys are going like it's 0-0, and they're trying to prove a point, and they're playing great. So I think that's kind of what separates the men from the boys. Hey, let me get to trivia real quick. Trivia sponsored by the Fanstop. Check them out, www.thefanstop.com. Officially licensed gear. Go get your OU shirts now, after the live. But sign up for the Shirt of the Month Club. You use code SURGE, you'll get 10% off your first 3 months. Go do it. Promise you. It's great. Here's a trivia question. Bob Stoops lost one home opener at Oklahoma. It was TCU. I just want to know who the quarterbacks were that game. They played 2.
Hey, I'm getting ready to get fired up, guys. I'm sorry.
All right.
Here we go.
They played 2 quarterbacks. I think Sooner fan was first, I believe. Hunter, correct me if I'm wrong. I think he was first. Rhett Bomar and Paul Thompson.
Yeah.
Boom.
Sooner fan first.
Good
Yeah.
job, Sooner fan.
Someone wants your prediction, Hunter.
No, his name's not Hunter. AI is his new name.
Okay, whatever. I thought I've said it often, but I'll say it again. 9-3, kind of like what Jason and Jeremy were saying, and combination of losses of 2 of the road games and to Texas, somewhere that 9-3 range, maybe 10-2 if you beat Texas. But I think Oklahoma drops 2 of the road games.
Hey, I saw Crystal's question about why the drought 24 years. Who's to blame? Is it coaching staffs? Is it Joe C? She seems to be high on Joe C. Obviously, Eric in the chat said it's Stoops' fault. I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to be the right person here. It's a combination of factors. Period.
But to me, it's mainly one factor. My opinion is they haven't won a national championship because they haven't been good enough on defense.
Okay, but I still think it's a combination.
Now you go back to Bob Stoops. He lost a couple that I thought they had good enough defenses to win early on. Like that LSU, they should have won that game. They had a good enough defense to win that.
Well, I mean, we can blame that one on Stoops, and I agree, Jay. Stoops lost some games. Hit Kewan Jones in the end zone. You probably win that game.
Yep.
And a lot of people talking about the recruiting got lazy. On the defensive side of the ball, it did. Offensively, they had some of the best players in the history of OU football on offense. So, and they didn't win a national championship. Anytime you have the likes of Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, back-to-back #1 picks, and you don't win a playoff game, even though they made the playoffs. I mean, you got to have defense to win.
The loyalty has been an issue, and a lot of people, guys, BV is in the Bob Stoops coaching tree. He's a branch of it. Same with Bill Snyder's tree. But I will say this. According to what I've witnessed in the 3 years, this will be the 3rd year into BV, less loyalty. I think he's learned from that loyalty issue because we have seen Brent Venables do a couple of things that were highlighting the fact that maybe he's not as loyal as he had been in the past. He's learned some things, guys. I can name plenty right now.
I mean, parting ways with your defensive coordinator in year 2 is that's at the top of the list, Jim.
Well, you also had the Kel Gundy incident. I mean, I know that wasn't it. Hey,
there's several, Jay. There's several, and I'm going to tell you another thing. Right now, we're going to see in 3 days, everybody. He doesn't seem to be loyal to if you're a senior or if your name is a certain name. It seems like he's going to play the best guys.
You have to. You're.
I think he realizes he has to, dude. His job's on the line.
Well, yeah. Hey, Eric, I think you can look at some of the hires he made were not good, but you also got to look at a guy like Lincoln Riley. He hired nobody knew about Lincoln Riley when he hired him. That was a good hire. Yes, he made some bad hires. I mean, the Heupel hire just didn't work out. I mean, Heupel's a good mind. It did not work out at Oklahoma. Bad hire. Bringing Mike Stoops back, it maybe worked for, a year, half a year to kind of revamp it, but it wasn't going to stick. So yeah, you could say that. I mean, I wouldn't disagree with it all.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the lazy recruiting on some. I'm trying to follow the comments, Jay, about who we're talking about someone
Manny
who got it off.
Diaz.
Yeah, how does that relate?
He didn't coach at Oklahoma.
Manny Diaz? No.
Manny Diaz.
It must be about something else in the chat, guys.
Okay, maybe so.
Hey.
Yeah, they did, and the thing is, the fact of the matter is, they missed on some quarterbacks because you had the Bomar and Thompson situation that was that held them back probably 3 years. And then you had the Blake Bell, Trevor Knight. I mean, they kind of went without great quarterbacks for a while.
Yeah, there were some years that they quarterback-wise won what they were accustomed to. And I want to use the term maybe complacent over lazy. Maybe that's the synonymous. Some people would say it's synonymous. I don't think it's synonymous. I think lazy implies didn't even care. I think complacent shows that they just think it was working because they had done it before. And it's always worked. And it didn't. It didn't work.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. Hey, Jaden Jackson starting. I was thinking about this last night. I was watching his interview. Jacob Lacey last year, he didn't come back this year.
Medical
and
retired.
What's that?
Had to medically retire.
That's right. He medically retired. At the time of that happening, I think some people were like, wonder what that's going to do with this defensive. This team defensive line has gotten so much better than last year. I think, to me, that is probably the one group on defense that I think has the biggest improvement because I think talent-wise, they're just so much better.
Hey, yeah, and I got to get back to Javonte Barnes going to be better. I don't understand when Sooner fans kind of get there. I hope Javonte Barnes looks like a Heisman Trophy candidate, and I hope Sawchuk looks as good too. Like having two running backs, maybe three guys who you can count on is way better than having one.
Correct.
Mess says Jaden Jackson starting at defensive tackle, not nose tackle, nose guard. What? I don't know what that's in regards to. If that's in the comment in the chat, I wasn't implying that he's starting over Lacey's position. I was just saying defensive line wise, you got a lot better. But Ron says Barnes Ross, but with less.
I do not see Alex Ross with Javonte Barnes.
You know who I see Barnes as? If he's healthy, more of like a Trey Sermon.
Yeah, I agree, Jay.
That's a good comp. Yeah.
I mean, what you could have, if they're both good, is like a Kennedy Brooks, Trey Sermon type deal.
And I'm here for it. I hope I hope we see a two-back set. That's one thing that if I wrote down 5 things on some kind of chart paper and Surgeaholics, we stuck it up here and we said, what's 5 things you want to see? 1, I do not want to see penalties. 2, I want to see a two-back set. I want to see at least one two-back set Friday.
Hey, Gregon, I didn't say he is Sermon. I'm doing a comparable guy as far as size, as far as what he can do. I think they're similar. That's just my
similar
opinion.
build. They're similar build.
I may be wrong. Hey, and Chief, I understand what you're saying. Sermon broke tackles, Barnes good. I think we have to see Barnes healthy and see what he does this year.
Barnes played how many games last year? Hunter, how many games did Barnes play last year? Like 3?
Hey,
He
AI.
played 8 games.
AI, when you get a chance, go to his freshman year. Go look at his stats for his freshman year. He had a pretty good
11 out of 13. 4.5 yards per carry, 5 touchdowns. So 519 yards. That's really good for a true freshman. Second fiddle behind Eric Gray that year. I mean, he was impressive.
Hey, Gary says, I want to see some huddles. You're gonna, it sounds like, listen to Britt Venables. He said sometimes efficiency is great in huddles. I think you're going to see huddles. I don't know what this is referring to about culture. I must have missed a comment there.
Hey, I do want to talk about huddles because I actually think that the leadership role of a quarterback has diminished when teams are going to hurry ups. It's become just basically a coach yelling out plays on the field. But when you get in there's a lot to be said. Yeah, Jay, I know it's exhausting. I hope Jackson Arnold's not doing that. But Jay,
they do the clapping. OU does the clapping.
I hope it's not what I saw last weekend. But Jay, listen,
DJ
go back
claps a lot.
Guys, go back to old school football when huddles were around all the time. The quarterback commanded the offense in the huddle. That there were things said in huddles. You don't get that anymore. I'm for huddling some too.
I mean, it might happen more with in-helmet communications and not as much reliant on sideline signs. And also, I mean, like they've talked about, Brent Venables has, of slowing it down offensively. I mean, take the time to go through the huddle.
Hey, my 3, 4, and 5 guys. So 1, few number of penalties. 2, I want to see at least 2 back sets some. 3, I want to see perfect in field goals. I do not want to see a missed field goal on opening night. That would be 1 I have on my top 5. 4, I want to see the deep ball often. I want to see him throwing the ball down the field, okay? And I want to see those passes completed. 5, I want sacks, and I want OU to be in the backfield all night.
Real quick to the tickets question. I've seen a few of them. I think Oklahoma will sell out the game. They have a second longest streak in the country right now. They have not sold it out as of yet. If you go on Sooner Sports, it says almost gone as of 10-11 on Tuesday of game weeks. So I still think they'll sell out the game.
They better sell out. It'd be absolutely
a lot of high school games on Friday night.
What?
There's a lot of high school games still Friday night.
And
I mean, that's a large
Jay, whether you want to admit it or not, it's a big deal when people have kids playing on Friday night.
Yeah.
I understand that. But I also know that there's a lot of games that
real
quick, let me talk. There is a lot of games that people don't go to because they can't go because there's no tickets available. If you've ever wanted to go to a game, this is a game to go to. You can get tickets. If you don't have a high schooler, you can get into the game. There's plenty of games where I've heard plenty of people say, I can't go. They're sold out. I can't get in. Now's your chance. Go.
All right, Jay, real quick. If you had a kid playing high school football or, even
I understand
daughter
that
high school cheer, would you not go to the game to go to the OU game? No, you would go to their game, their Hunter, cheer event, whatever. You would go.
Hunter, I would be going where my family is. I'd be at my kid's thing. I promise you. 100%.
Yeah.
You're missing the point. There's enough Sooner fans going around. It doesn't matter if some go to the high school games. There's plenty to fill that stadium.
Hey, while you guys are dealing with that, I got to get to Crystal's comment because thanks so much, Crystal, for the super. And I've seen a lot of chats, a lot of people in chat mentioning Marcus Dupree, Brent Rawls. The list is a long laundry list, okay, of guys, the best who never was, that should have been. I'm going to give a name that I think would have been phenomenal. Trajan Bridges, I think, was a guy that I was so high on.
That whole group, Henderson, Mikey Henderson.
Seth
Henderson
McGowan
is one for sure.
Seth McGowan. That whole trio right there, bro.
Mikey Henderson, I was so high on.
I tell you another guy that you could obviously say Bookie. He didn't pan out, but to me, a guy that I really liked and he never really got going, Roy Finch.
No, he's not a best that never was. He wasn't even on the number 1 on the depth chart just because he was number 1 in your heart.
Well, you can't say Marcus Major, okay?
I didn't, Jay. And hey, guys, Rodney Anderson is not on the best that never was because Rodney Anderson.
That was what I was going to say.
Rodney Anderson
He was. It's just if there was no injuries, like how good he would have been. Like I would include him on the best than ever was because of how his injuries hindered his career. Just it could not stay healthy, but when he was unbelievable.
Yeah, Trey Matoyer, Rhett Bomar, both are on there. Doyle,
Those
DGG,
are both good ones.
Doyle Green Beckham, I think. Is there anyone on this team that's going to fill that title? Best that never was.
It's too early to say.
You can't say that yet.
I mean,
is there anyone under BV
started.
that hasn't filled it?
That's a good one, Crystal. Jordan Thomas.
Is there anyone under BV that hasn't filled it? I'm going to tell you a name.
Here's what I'll say.
I'm going to tell you a name this year, Jay, that could fill that role. You ready?
Okay.
Jaron Kanek, if he does not show out.
And that's what Coconut Greg says too.
Thank you, Coconut. He's going to fill that role.
Savion Bird's a great one, Monty.
Yeah.
Savion Bird's a great one.
Kanek, I think Kanek does show out this year, though. I think he's going to be phenomenal. Great guy, Jazz Reynolds. Wow. Jazz Reynolds, to me, never really had the size. I never thought of him as one who was.
That's a good name from the past, though, Jack. You know what? A name when I was watching this TCU game for the trivia tonight? Jawan Rankin. Remember him?
Absolutely.
Kanek. Do you remember the recruiting of Kanek when they signed him? I
think he's going to be great this year, guys.
What?
I think he's going to be great.
I hope so. I really do. I hope he will. Bray Walker, obviously, that's a great one.
Hunter, we don't get to talk to you on the live a lot. We talk to you a lot outside the live, but we really haven't had a lot of discussions. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on Kanek this year? Are you thinking he's going to play more than people think or less?
It's tough. I mean, I think the first two are going to be Danny Stutzman and Kip Lewis. And
I agree.
I think a lot of it depends on how the rotation is after the fact. I think Kip Lewis is going to play a whole lot. So how much are those twos rotating in the linebacker room? They talked about it a lot last year of happening, and it didn't feel like it happened a whole lot. I mean, it still felt like the ones were out there for a vast majority of the game. It wasn't. Correct me if I'm wrong. Most games it wasn't till the fourth quarter that the ones are starting to come off the field at the linebacker position. So,
yeah, and hey, talking about Bobby says, where do I see him in the rotation? I see Coconut Greg says, is he undersized? He's not undersized. He's got the speed. Here's where, Bobby, to answer your question, here's where I see Jaron Kanek in the rotation. I see Jaron Kanek in two different ways. One, he's going to be a downhill guy who's going to be blitzing the quarterback a lot when he comes in or on a run blitz. Two, if there's a team who has a really good tight end, to me, I think Jaron Kanek, having played safety in high school, I think he could be a good cover guy out of some of those other guys, okay? That's where I see him.
It all depends on how much he's learned in the defense over the last year. I think that was his holdup. You saw it last year. He would just be barely out of position, but it'd be enough for a big play or a completion for a first down. So, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. Hot take: OU leads the SEC in scoring. I saw another hot take about the bomb said Schmidt misses a field goal. I don't think he's going to kick. It doesn't sound. Maybe I think Keltner's got that job right now.
Well, here's what we know: if Keltner is starting, which it sounds like BV said he's going to come in first. To me, it's Keltner's job to lose at this point.
I agree.
If you don't miss, you're not going to get benched.
I would agree. Kanek is a junior, Coconut Greg, correct?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Gary asked in a minute ago if I could find it. Soccer chants at soccer games. Yes, there are. There's a crowd that sits behind the berm or on the berms behind the goals with drums and all of that, and they come up with chants sometime. OU soccer looks to be pretty good this year, 3-1.
Gary,
season.
I've already said, I'll say it again, I'll be on till midnight if I need to be. I'll stay till midnight.
I mean, at that point, maybe I'm home. At that point, it's going to take me a long time to get.
AI has all the answers.
Corey says,
but Hunter's got the stat knowledge. I'll give him that.
Appreciate it, Baum. Baum says he'll be up with us. Hey, I hope everybody joins us and more. I think it's been a great night for us to just chat about the game. It's finally here. Like I said when we opened, thank you to all of you guys and gals, because y'all carried us through the offseason. There's no more carrying anymore. We are here. Everybody, it's time. Football season in Oklahoma is here, and it's going to be a blast. Hey, if you have not checked out FanStop, make sure you go check them out after this, www.thefanstop.com. Use code SURGE. You'll get 10% off your first 3 months. Also, if you have not taken the step to sign up for unlimited membership, that's totally fine. I get it. Totally understand. If you want to take another step and get in there and get in the Discord with us, it is really fun.
Links are in the description.
The links are in the description. Like today, when the DeMarco Murray stuff happens, we talk about it on there before we get on live. It's just a little fun thing that you can be part of the community that's in there. So you can do that if you want. But thanks, everybody, for joining tonight. We will be back tomorrow night at 9:30, 2 days before the game. So make sure you join us. Appreciate it. Y'all have a great night tonight.